one mystery, with growing trees, I guess it takes X number of years for them to bear fruit. Do you know if anyone that's studied on how to accelerate that process or why it takes X number of years for certain fruits to come and not for others?
It's a great question. And the answer is just like with us humans, we take a while to mature, right? So a baby is born and then it needs to grow up a little bit and then it needs to go through puberty and teenage years and then it's ready to reproduce. So when a fruit tree produces fruit, it is in its reproductive stage and it does take time. But I wrote a book called Grow Fruit Trees Fast because there are a lot of people out there that think, well, why can't I grow fruit? Fruit in the supermarket is so expensive, and especially organic fruit. And there are these trees and they produce fruit. And, why don't I give it a try? So for my book, Grow Fruit Trees Fast, I researched all the best ways to make this whole experience go quicker. So that you plant a tree and no, you won't get fruit the next day, but you will get fruit within 2 years. And that's pretty fast. When you think that if you take a seed from an apple and you plant it in the ground, it could take 5, 6, 7 years until it produces fruit. And the seed from that apple, even if it's the most delicious, yummy apple in the world, that new tree may not produce yummy tasting apples. That will be a totally unique and different apple tree that produces apples, but they won't taste like the parent apples.
What kind of fruits are easy to grow, especially in an urban environment that's on 10,000 years?
Yeah, well, Richard, I'm not sure that any fruits are easy to grow, fruit trees. You see, the difference between a fruit tree and a native tree. A native tree is usually grown from seed. And even native trees, when you plant the little seedling, you've got to water it. You've got to care for it until it establishes itself. And then after that, you don't usually have to prune it too much. You shouldn't really need to feed it too much. They take care of themselves. But fruit trees are actually like little Franken trees because in order to get the kind of fruit you want, let's say you like Honeycrisp apples, you need to get a grafted tree. So it has a piece of either the original Honeycrisp apple tree or one of its descendants, another cutting. Basically, a cutting from a tree will be grafted onto a rootstock so that you will get the actual fruit that you want. So these Franken trees need a little more care. They can be delicate. We need to feed them properly. We need to prune them annually. And the pruning will help ensure not only that the tree is healthy, but also that every branch gets access to sunshine so the fruit ripens properly. So there's a few things that you need to consider. You need to for sure irrigate the trees unless it's a good rainy season, but especially when they're young, and you need to feed them. So is any fruit tree easy? I don't think so. But saying that, there are people that plant a cherry tree in their backyard or even an apple tree, and they give that tree minimal care. And if they're lucky, it will be a beautiful, productive tree that produces yummy fruit. But essentially what I teach people is how to increase your chances of success. Just between you and I, just so you know, and I know, apple trees are amongst the hardest to grow because apple trees attract something like 36 different types of pests. And these pests these pests lay their eggs under the skin of the baby fruit. So you think the fruit is fine, but then it grows up and then it's got maggots and stuff under the skin. So it's got 36 pests. It's got a handful of diseases that it gets. Whereas cherry trees, they still have pests and they still have diseases, but there might be fewer of them. So my attitude is this. It's about when you're going out to buy a tree, you're thinking, I want to have a partnership with this tree. I'll do my part, the tree will do its part, and put together we will produce an amazing harvest. If that's your attitude, you will have the most delicious harvest and the abundant harvest that you can dream of for years and years to come. But if it's about, I want a fruit tree in my yard, I want it to do all the work, and I just want to reap the rewards, you might be disappointed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So what are the easier ones then? If apples are tough, what about peaches?
Peaches can be, peaches can be tough. I would say, well, it's hard to say. Apples are tough, but still worth doing. I think cherries are easier. There are native trees, native fruiting trees like service berries, and they are a native tree. They take care of themselves. You really don't have to do much in the berries. If you wait until they're a beautiful purpley red, they're kind of almost like blueberries. So that is totally hands off. Then there's another native tree in parts of North America called the papaw tree, and it's beautiful. It's not a papaya, it's a papaw, and it's this beautiful fruit that sort of looks like, it's a little bit mango-ish in how it looks from the outside, and you slice it open, and it's like this beautiful texture, silky, yummy flavor, and that's also pretty low maintenance because it's a native tree.